Here in Qatar, part 2. Closest to me, Alex Albon, then Zhou and Sergio Perez. Very warm welcome to you all. Alex, you're closest. Now, it's been a tough couple of races for Williams. Just how tough?
Yeah, not smooth, for sure. I think been especially tough more for the mechanics and for the people at the factory. Obviously, we had a few crashes, not always our fault, but in the end they add up. And testament to everyone who's worked so hard to get them back. You know, we still got 2 cars that are at the track that are more than capable to score points and back to fighting fit. At least the cars are. So yeah, I think it's been tough, but everyone's been very strong, very optimistic, and I think that's Williams. I think everyone's very, very optimistic.
Well, what about the competitiveness of the car? Because you haven't scored points since Baku. Do you feel it's slipped off a bit?
But also, I don't think I've finished the race since Baku. I think I have. Austin. Did I finish Austin? I finished Austin with a broken floor. So it's almost like we haven't really done anything.
But even in terms of qualifying pace and...
Mexico, we were P8. Brazil, we were P2 until the incident. P3 until the incident. Vegas, we got caught out by safety cars. So I really think it's nowhere near as bad as maybe it looks like on the outside. I think we've just had a tough run, and that happens. It's not normal to have it consecutive as much as it has happened for us so far this year, at least in this last part of the year. But it's just how it is, unfortunately.
Alex, it's an interesting thing is when you look back at 2024, it seems to be one of unfulfilled promise in a way for Williams. The car is better than the results would show. Is that your abiding memory of this season?
Yes, partly. I think that last year we finished P7 in the Constructors' Championship, and I wouldn't say we were always the 7th quickest car. I think we really took advantage and made the most of what we had. This year feels in some ways the opposite. I would agree. I think that we've been on the back foot since race 1. I think we didn't quite have the car. I think it's a known story now. The car wasn't on weight, and we were on the back foot from the beginning, and then we missed out on capitalizing when we should have. Now that teams like Alpine, they're on their 3rd, 4th upgrade now. We did one major one, I would say, this year, and let's say where we are now is kind of expected in terms of pace. But I think we've just missed out a little bit, and all for good reasons. Though I really think that a lot of the reasons why we've been on the back foot is just because we've made so many big changes back at Grove, which are going to help us definitely in the future, but possibly a little bit of short-term pain for now.
One of the changes for the future is a new teammate in Carlos Sainz. Just tell us how much contact you've had with Carlos, and what can he expect at Williams?
Truthfully, not too much. I wish I could say more, but I think obviously once Abu Dhabi happens, I'll be very keen to hear his feedback on the car, doing the test, see where his head's at compared to at Ferrari. I think obviously he'll have a very fresh mind of driving the Ferrari and then coming into Williams where are our strengths, where are our weaknesses. I think that's honestly one of the things that I'm looking forward to most with Carlos joining is I remember my time at Red Bull and when I came to Williams, and obviously there's a lot of things on your mind, things you want to try to improve for the team, and at the same time I've spent now 3 years at Williams, and it's nice to almost have someone a little bit fresher than me, and coming from a team like Ferrari, I'm sure he'll bring a lot to the table, and of course I know he will push me. I think he's having a very strong year this year as well, but it will be a good challenge.
All right. Alex, thank you for that. Zhou, let's come to you. Great to see you back in Q2 at the weekend. Was it track specific, or do you think the upgrades are really making a difference?
For me, I think it's more about the upgrades. These upgrades, I think we wanted for a while now, and obviously, finally to have that for both cars at the first time in a while as well in Vegas. So that was a pretty good step on the team. And it's clearly we saw in terms of numbers is probably the biggest one we had this season for all this new stuff we had, and it's clearly worked like we hoped. Is it enough or not? We will find out a little bit more in this weekend and also Abu Dhabi. But I think it's clearly a very positive step in terms of in the right direction. And then try down FP2, had a good comparison in P1, and then everything just seems to be working in the right direction. And had a good weekend. I think after a very difficulty last couple of weeks.
How close do you feel to points now? Or do you think you're still going to need a little bit of luck to get that point?
I think for us at this stage, we need a little bit of luck because I think, like one of the racing booths and also both Haas looks very strong this year. And then there's several teams, like Alpine, Williams, they can be always there. So it's very difficult compared to other, let's say last year, because last year you have like some teams is always being up there and some other team being struggling more than the others. But this year seems to be the midfield is very consistent in a positive way that for us it's difficult to do the catch up, but I think we're there. If we put a car or both cars in Q2, then everything still can be happening for the race. But I think we do need a bit of luck, and then purely on just car performance, I think we are not yet had a quick enough car for top 10, but we can be there like we did in last week.
Yeah, I've got high hopes after what you did here last year from the back to P9. Does that give you a little bit of confidence coming into this race?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I enjoyed this track layout. I like more like high-speed track, and then this track is a lot of medium high-speed corners, which goes a little bit on my favorites. But last year was good. But I remember, it's good is the results we had here, but it's all about how intense, how demanding the whole race was. That's all I can remember from Qatar. But we try to focus on what we are doing this year. Obviously, it's a complete different concept of the car, so things can be definitely planned out a little bit differently. But we keep, the hopes high. I think we saw very positive steps in the previous weekend, and then we try to keep that momentum up, and then hopefully that I can find more rhythm than what I did over the last few weeks, and just continue to be, getting better together as a team.
Zhou, when you look back at 2024, what comes to mind? I mean, when you finished P11 in Bahrain at the first race, did you have any idea that you were going to have the kind of season that you have had?
For sure not. I mean, I was thinking that was a very good start point, but didn't expecting that's actually the best results we had. We're facing a lot of unexpected challenging for the season. I think it's very difficult for every single, members in the team, because like I always mentioned, the first part of the season, the first 5-6 races, I think me and my Valtteri, we had several occasions that we can be quite good at points, and then we had this pit stop issue which got massively delayed until we fixed that into European races, unfortunately. And then once things there, we didn't really have the performance in the car to be fighting back in the points like we did in the previous few weekends. So it's been very tough, I guess. As a driver, you cannot pay the end of the result because of that in a season that everything can be very possible for the future. So right now, like I always said, it's a relief, but I still want to finish this journey together with the team in the best way as possible. I think it's been very family feeling together with Sauber over the last 2.5 years until this point, and then let's see what the future is. But right now I'm just trying to enjoy as much as I could with the next coming races.
All right, Zhou, thank you very much for that. I'm sure there'll be more for you in a minute. Checo, let's come to you. Now, you said after the race in Vegas that you feel close to turning things around. Vegas in particular, where do you feel the car made improvements?
I think Vegas, mainly the main issue we had was qualifying. We were out in Q1. Straight away after qualifying, we understood why. We saw it was very clear in the data. But then we were on the back foot, and then going on to the race, with the degradation that we had, we were not expecting it to be so severe, especially in the beginning, so we went for the hard tire, which I also degraded the hard tire, and that meant that I had to spend quite a lot of the race on the medium, so it compromised the race a lot, but we did have some good pace during the race.
But Checo, when you say you're making improvements, is that to the setup, or are you making improvements to the way you're able to drive around the issues?
I think with the setup we are coming closer. Already in a couple of weekends, Sao Paulo, probably in Vegas we didn't have the pace that we had in Sao Paulo, but I think there are some promising signs that things are coming. We were not so competitive in Vegas in terms of team order, but I believe that here should be a good track for us.
Well, Checo, look, this is the last time you're going to be in the FIA press conference this year. So can I just get a bit of a reflection from you now on this 2024 season?
Yeah, obviously it's been one of my best starts to the year, with 4 races consecutively on the podium. Things were looking great, but as soon as we came back to Europe, I think our season took a U-turn. The time that other teams improved and found a lot of performance on our side, we got a bit lost with the car, I'll say, and then there was a lot of weekends where things were just not coming in, and a lot of weekends have been too difficult just in regards that we are looking at all the areas, exploring all the areas, and at the end of the day there is so much you can do on a weekend that we end up losing a lot of points, and the season turned out to be quite a lot more difficult, but I think it's how it is in Formula 1. Sometimes things don't go your way, and we're still here and optimistic that we can turn things around as a team, especially for next year.
Knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently this year? Particularly when we got back to Europe after those 4 podiums in the opening 5 races.
I think it's hard to say actually, because the way the car changed meant that we had to drive quite differently, and it took me a lot longer to adapt. And actually, as a team, to understood what the car was doing, it took us a lot of races, because sometimes it's not so clear to spot issues on the data and then to drive around them. So I think I was a lot more sensitive to it with my driving style than, for example, Max was. For Max, things didn't change that much, but for me it changed severe. So it's hard to say what we could have done differently. I think spotting the problems early will have helped quite a lot our season.
All right, Checo, thank you for that. Let's now come to the floor. We will start with the broadcasters. Who's first? Yes, please.
Hello, this is Roldán Rodríguez from DAZN Spain. A question to Checo. Checo, you have been 14 years in Formula 1. You are a race winner. A few months ago, you were fighting against Max Verstappen and winning him as well in some circuits. How can you explain now to the new Formula 1 fans what is going on now this year, struggling that much?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult for people to understand that they're not part of the team or are not on a daily basis. Why from one race to another, let's say you are so far away. I think when you are not able to extract 100% out of your car, it's irrelevant how good your car is, and it is what it has happened. I haven't been able to extract 100% out of my car because of the difficulties I've had in the last few months with it, and I think that's the main issue. I think you go through periods, and I think as a team we are understanding and we're working really hard to make sure that we can fix them.
Thank you, Checo. David.
David Cross, Sky Sports F1. Look, I know the stats aren't good, Checo, but what you're saying here today makes me feel that in your mind, the stats are misleading because of what you have or haven't been able to do with the car. Are you saying that there's absolutely no question that you shouldn't be driving next season, and that you have a contract and you should be with Red Bull, and they should look beyond the stats, as it were, and maybe at the data a bit more?
I think, at the end of the day, the team has all the information. There is so much I can say here. At the end of the day, the team has all the information. And there's a reason why we extended my contract during the year. And at the end of the day, the team has everything, and we exactly know where we are in terms of performance, in terms of issues, difficulties that we've had. We are a team, and we know exactly internally where everything stands. So we're working really hard as a team to come through and get back into a much better season than the one that we just had.
Okay, thank you. Any more from the broadcasters? Yep, Diego, let's go to...
Diego Mejia, Fox Sports Mexico. Question to Checo. You've seen Max from up close, much closer than any other driver this year. Is there any aspect you think Max has stepped up a gear relative to previous seasons?
I think Max has done his best season I've seen from him in these four years. I think the way he pushed the team out of the car, how hard he worked for during this year, especially there were a lot of periods during the year where we looked really far, and he would push the team in all the areas, in all the aspects. I think Max has done a very big steps out of the car. I think his talent and his speed has been there since day one, but out of the car, how he reads the races, how he works with the team, how he pushes the team, I think is the biggest step that he has done in these past years.
Checo, do you feel Max has been supportive of you this year?
I think we're working as a team. I think especially the last few months we've had similar issues with the car, so we're pushing in similar directions to try and improve the car. And at the end of the day, we are working as a team. Like I say, the team knows exactly what we've done, where we are, and I think we're working well together.
Okay, thank you for that. Any more from the broadcasters? Yep, David. Yep.
So just finally, are you a Red Bull driver or a driver for Red Bull? If Christian Horner decides you're not the driver he wants for the senior team next year, does your contract say you could drive for RB, or is it the Red Bull team or nothing, and will you be holding the team to that contract if that decision's made?
I don't speak. I've been 14 years in the sport, and I don't speak about my contracts publicly.